That's how the software works. You know? And Grandmaster David just figured he can only treat so many people at any given time, and so he wanted to be able to duplicate himself. And that was proving hard to do, to find qualified individuals that would take his training to the level that he did in order to become as good as he is. And then he found this software program, and eventually I met him through that software program, and we maxed that one out with add-on packs, and finally decided, you know what, we're going to create our own. And Grandmaster David said, I will duplicate what I do into a software program. So he took all of these modalities of ancient kung fu and dim mak and martial arts stuff and martial sciences and figured out how to marry it to 21st century technology. And so I like to say, when you get our software, you have Grandmaster David in your hip pocket.
That's painful.
Yes, but really, really wonderful when you need them.
So can it do anything towards that storm that's coming?
We're going to work on that in just a few moments.
Awesome.
So that's why I said your timing was right.
You know, it was coming up in my mind, so it must have been, it's gonna happen.
Yep. So the cocktail I made for the cancer prevention, if you take the time to read it and read all of the different items, you'll see where a lot of it works for prevention because it prepares you energetically to do some of the things you really need to do in order to be successful at preventing cancer. And so things like, I understand exercise is my job. Didn't want to deal with that one.
Can I just acknowledge that I noticed that you have exercised quite a bit more since that class?
That's right.
So,
Yep.
apparently that whole shin technique thing works.
Apparently it does, yes. And this one I kind of like the last one on this in the list of things that I put in was, God designed my body to effectively thwart cancer.
What was that again?
God designed my body to effectively thwart cancer. And that's the truth. We were created to self-heal.
Yeah.
We were created to treat our bodies like a temple.
Exactly.
Most of us don't, but if we did, then we could, do a whole lot better at resisting disease and things like that, so.
Could I just say something? I see that in nature all the time, because I kind of think about, is there like, are the birds all lined up to see the doctor? And, of course they're not. Or the plants, or the animals, the bobcats, or the raccoons, or whatever. And so we have gotten off that wonderful path of knowing that we are whole. And so anyway.
Yeah, and we have a whole lot more power than we think we do.
Yes, exactly.
I helped to found a church down in Boynton Beach, and we had a family reunion set up. All members of the church would come, big picnic, and it was always a wonderful thing. This huge storm started to build up, and our picnic was planned at 11 o'clock. And at 10 o'clock, there were clouds, it was everywhere. It was just closing in. We still went anyway. We had to cover things, so we figured that would be okay, but we did a lot of praying. And would you believe that there were black storm clouds here, black storm clouds there, black storm clouds there, black storm clouds there, blue sky up here. When the last car was packed, the trunk shut, and the person in the car, the heavens opened. Then the rain started. But we prayed that away. Can we do that with a storm? Theoretically, yes. Why not? Jesus did it. He stood up and stopped the winds and the waves, right? And when the last words he said when he was ascended was, "You will do greater things than I."
I stopped a tornado, me and maybe some other people, but they said it's heading, they don't have them in Arkansas, so right where I live, I was like, great, because I'm not a tornado, I'm from California. Anyway, so they said it's gonna hit in like 2 minutes, so I finally said, no, and I'm sure a lot of other people, that thing I didn't know enough to say, go back to the atmosphere. I said, turn around and go the other way, and it tore up center to turn completely around. So let's do that with Dorian.
Yeah,
What to see?
that is not unusual, and it can happen, and when you get enough people just like in intercessory prayer, you get enough people
Yeah.
who can move mountains.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer, and our software is God-oriented and God-directed, and
Amen.
God likes to give us the desires of our heart. If enough people get involved,
Mm-hmm.
we can do something about that. We can stop that thing,
Amen.
you know? So,
You know, after Hurricane Irma last year, I just did a poll of some of my dowsing friends and asked how many people were working on that, and it was like, oh, I thought I was the only one. there were whole group. It was cool.
there's a lot of people in the state of Florida right now that are sending out energy that is destructive to that, to
Hallelujah.
Dorian.
So,
So,
Now we just have to lower the temperature.
what's it, lower the decibels, is that what it's?
Well, we just have to cool the planet, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
you know,
We
Right
should
now-
be able to do that.
Yeah.
right now, let me move this out of the way. And let's
Cat
open up
Kirk
some
says lower the
software.
decibels, isn't it what she says inside that
Yes.
they need to be lower?
Yes.
Alright, so I'm gonna open up a premium P4. It's called the P4 because it's the fourth major iteration of our software since it was created in 2009. And so what are we going to put in this
Yeah.
to
haven't
help
gotten there on the
combat?
screen yet.
What's that?
Haven't gotten there on the screen.
You're not mirroring.
Alright. Well, that creates an issue then.
Well, we need the Shen technique to fix it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out why that would not show up. It's showing the desktop. No, it's not. I know what it is. I gotta close the PowerPoint. Alright, we'll just close that out.
There you go.
Now, can we see the software? No.
Beautiful evil.
It's
Yeah,
because
we see
you
a lot.
have a second screen to the right or to the left, rather than mirroring what screen you have on your computer. So can you move your
You
cursor
need
to
some
the left?
assistance.
Is it PC?
He's a little brat, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Okay, so, settings. And then piece, oh yeah, control panel, display.
That's why we have a technical support team for the software.
This is more your laptop.
Yeah, there you go. So, duplicate. There you go.
What?
You may leave now, your job is done.
No, we may need you some more, just so you know.
Yes, that's right, you should. Alright,
Tech
so
support
let's-
job is never done. We all know that.
there we go. Alright, so we're trying to deal with something that is an object, and we look at the top of the name box and it says select or type name. Sure, why not? How about Dorian? And I'm giving it a small d because I don't want it to be a big impressive thing.
Search and clear all anger, Dorian. We don't want any of that anger coming back.
So what is the primary situation? In this case, I would just put all that stuff, meaning anything that has to do with Hurricane Dorian. And then I'm going to add in here, because I'm going to do a whole premium, then we're going to do some other stuff as well. I'm going to add in here dissipate. Now you can put whatever you want. There's a lot of different things, and I think it's good to be creative and to think in your own mind what it is that you would want to say or you would want to do. So you don't have to do what I say. I can give suggestions, but it's really, really neat to get into your own psyche and figure out, you know, this is what I want to say. Then just say it, send that energy out. Yes.
So, I'm sorry. No.
Okay.
So I can put in, so my only choices aren't whatever's in the menu of a primary
Yeah, because
situation.
it says
literally
select or type. Almost any-
name, but I didn't realize the or primary situation was that. So I can say,
Yeah.
Danny's knees, because he's having difficulty walking, but I could put Daniel and knees.
Mhm.
In
Or you could make, and this is a little bit more advanced, but you could simply in the name put Danny's knee issue.
Okay, okay, okay.
So again, it just, be creative, just remember what it is that you're trying to do, and don't worry about the software being, I've got to be specific and do it one certain way.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
forgiving.
Yeah, so, yeah.
It's
that's-
unconditionally loving. Okay.
And so all I would do at this point is I'm going, okay, I wanna do something with this Dorian, I want everything to do with that hurricane, I want it just to dissipate. That way then I'm not bothering anybody else.
Right.
So, I wonder what Grandmaster David would do. That's what we have a wonder click for.
Okay.
Wow.
I know this is an SRC class, but given that we have an urgent situation at hand, I wonder if you'd be willing to lead us in the Shen technique for these as we go along also?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
You all familiar with the Shen technique?
Yes.
The Shen technique?
Okay.
You gotta show me that.
Yeah, you take my fingers don't work as well as others, but you kinda like the peace sign, and then you put one on top of the other, doesn't matter which. And then what you're going to do is you're going to think of, we'll show you the mechanics first, you wanna keep them together. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna reverse, like make a big ball, then you're gonna activate energy, minimum of 3 times. You're gonna take the bottom, slide it up, hold on to it, squeeze, and release. That's the Shen technique. So I'll say it right now and then we can all do it. So I want Hurricane Dorian to dissipate. I'm activating the energy. I'm locking it in, release. That's your Shen technique. And you can do all kinds of things with the Shen technique. Don't do it just once, do it, yeah?
The languaging,
Uh-huh.
my, Dr. Cindy, you can tell me, if you state it in the affirmative in terms of,
Mhm.
this is, Dorian
Mhm.
dissipated 100%, versus
Ah.
what I'm focusing on what I want, is like, this is just stating this is
Mhm.
the outcome. Just
Ah.
Yeah,
just a-
and that's exactly why we say do things multiple times.
So Dorian dissipates easily.
Yeah, this is Hurricane Dorian dissipating.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm emphasizing that is because I had absolutely no energetic response in the first statement.
Okay,
And I had a strong energetic response on the second statement. So I believe that it does make a difference and that the difference
Sure it
is very important.
sure it does. Yeah, the reason I said that in the first place was because sometimes for me, I'm clearing the fact that I should have said it a different way, like this is me with no negative, thought process about the results. Instead, I said I want it to happen. So I was projecting positive on me before I made the statement, but that was just personal. Yes?
If you know some of the scientific reasons behind formation, like the Bermuda High
Mm-hmm.
is in such a state,
Mm-hmm.
firm state. Have you been following it? Anyone been following the
I have
science? Okay, the Bermuda High is north of us, off the Carolinas, and it's very, very strong right now.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, could we dissipate the
Mhm.
Bermuda High so the hurricane goes out to the middle of the Atlantic?
Let's do
So,
that.
this is the Bermuda High
Mhm.
moving back north,
Yeah,
drawing
and becoming
Hurricane
less strong. Yeah,
into the ocean.
yeah. Right.
And that I get a response on.
Yeah. And so it's a good concept. Now, everything that you're doing here with the actual Shen technique, then open up the Shen technique in the software and let it run 24/7.
Will you show us where that is? I'm not, in case not everybody knows.
Oh, I'm sorry?
Will you show us where it is in
Yes.
case not everybody knows?
I have a question about what you just did.
Yes.
I don't want to finish that. So you put in Dorian dissipating, basically. Why did you not optimize the connection?
Just
Why?
for time purposes, that was all.
Okay, so
Yeah.
normally in your steps,
Normally, I
you
should
would
have,
take
yeah, I
the
should
time
have
to
done
do
that, but I was trying to move through things so that we could
Okay.
do more.
She said at the beginning, nothing gets past her. She's.
Apparently not.
I'm really trying to learn how
That's
to
fine.
use it
Thank
most
you.
efficiently, so
And I should have said that. I should have spoken it out loud and said, I'm gonna pass the optimized connection just for class purposes, but yes.
So, but the
you
other
should.
thing is that I take it, I don't know if this is a beginner class, so I don't wanna go over it if it's not appropriate.
It's all of the above.
But I take the time to optimize the connection and then I go over to theme and I try and figure out what it is. I try to match it to what the primary situation is and then I go to the options box and try to, so I don't know if I have to triplicate my efforts like that or if I should be picking completely different things. So I
There-
love that I can just do a wonder click.
Yeah, there's only one
Takes the
wrong
pressure
way
off.
of running the software,
Not
Right.
and that's not running it.
Okay.
And then in the video, the initial training video that I put out,
Mm-hmm.
I show like three easy ways to do it at the beginning. One is what I just did, put the name in, the primary situation, and then hit wonder click. Another
Right.
one is put the name in, primary situation, then pick a theme, and then do wonder click. And then there's others, and so there's different ways of doing it, but sometimes I just want the software to do what it was designed to do, and that's let it have its own head. And so then I don't make mistakes like I did with the Shen technique, because I'm not interspersing my own biases or prejudices and things like that, where I think I know what's wrong, which is why we have a lot of stuff in there about root source cause. Because we think, I know, I'll get you in a second. So I had a friend who had a pimple on his shoulder, and he called me up and said, can you run me on that thing of yours, because it's starting to hurt and getting bigger. And I said, sure, I can run it. And it came up that he had an infection. I said, well, that makes sense. But then it said small intestine, and I went, what? This is very early on in my career with the software. Grandmaster David said, just don't try to logic it out, Ray, just let it happen. Software knows what it's doing. And so I ran him, and sure enough, the next day he calls up and he says, hey, pain's gone, it's shrinking, that's wonderful. So I made a beeline to Grandmaster David. I don't understand what's going on here, And he said, well, yeah, there was an infection. I said, well, duh, that's what it said, okay. But he said the infection was in the small intestine. And it was running up the small intestine meridian, trying to work its way out to an exit point on the shoulder.
Interesting.
So the shoulder was showing the symptom. The root source cause was in the small intestine. And so I learned a whole lot on that one little lesson about allowing the software sometimes to do it, because I'm an intelligent person and I know what I see.
So does all that stuff mean to the root source complete, or is that?
There was a choice to say,
there's root source
root source, and if you don't see that choice, just write
type
it
it
in.
in? Well, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that, so that's.
But
what I was-
yeah, it's always a choice to do the drop down. All that stuff is just a great catch-all phrase to shorten your time with setting something up, especially if you want to set a bunch of stuff up.
Yeah.
You got I got 10 minutes and I got to open up 17 windows.
Right.
So all that stuff is really good. Like you were talking about the knee issue. So you can do all that stuff to do with the knees.
Okay.
Or you might have a list of emotional issues that you're dealing with,
Right.
and you just go over them in your head, create the energetic imprint, and then put all that stuff, meaning everything on your list.
Okay.
Because that's what the software is recognizing. It's recognizing the energetic imprint. And so that's what we do it. So you can take any number of Shen techniques, and you can, and I would, if I were you, I would go home tonight and just start making stuff up in your head about Dorian and what you want it to do, and how you want it to dissipate, how you want it to disappear, and how you want, this is my house and my family being completely and totally protected from anything that could happen with Dorian.
Okay.
Because if Dorian could dissipate, and it could suddenly throw an airplane off of its course, and the airplane could run out of gas and drop an engine on my house. And it was caused by Dorian. So,
Right.
So bottom line is make as many things as you can.
Okay.
Keep thinking about it, and then just keep doing it. But then if you have the software, back it up, enhance it,
Okay.
run it. So that's one way of doing it. We got the wonder click going, but we go into tool tabs.
Can I add something, Ray?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yes.
yes.
Question?
I ignored you, I
See,
apologize.
So I call the thing, that's not their language, but me, it's building a formula. Okay.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like building a formula. So whether or not to do more, you can if you're taking Cynthia's class, you know, a test, whether through a pendulum or you know, do I have to add more detail? You know, does I add other factors? You know, do I need to be more specific about it? And is it, can I stop here? You know, then you're using best of both worlds. You're testing, you're using technology, and then, you know, it'll be different every time. So,
Okay.
And the
otherwise
other,
you can go nuts, spend 2 hours building a
It's-
formula.
I have done that too. So that's why I'm in the class.
I
We've
have,
all done that. It's just
my
like,
life.
oh my god, I can do everything! I'm gonna do everything!
I'm gonna fix him. I'm gonna fix myself.
the downside of having the software, especially when you're new to it, is you get wound up in the possibilities.
Oh my gosh, it's so
And you can
fantastic.
spend so much time on it. I trained myself, and I did, I was, 12, 13, 14 hours a day, man. I would run, and I would test stuff. As Grandmaster David would create it, and we'd send it to the programmer to make the interface with it, and then we had to test it. And the first thing Grandmaster David did is he would test it and see that the energy was all correct and stuff. And then the next thing he did is he would send it to me, because he knew I would push it to the limit. And if I didn't fall over and drop dead, then it was okay to pass it out to somebody else. Because I would literally, I'd call him up on the phone or something and say, holy crap, what am I doing? And this is, let me check that out. And you check it out, and he said, oh, okay, well, then we had to fix that. Because it would slam me, and we had a lot of unfiltered stuff that we were working with. And so one day, I'm in my office, and he was in my dining room with the programmer that does the interface. And they were working on stuff, and I was testing stuff. And I had 35 windows going.
On you, all of them on you?
Oh yeah, I had it all on me. And
if
now,
one is good.
yeah, I've had it up to 100. So testing just to make sure. But I'm sitting in there and I'm just opening one new after another, and I'm throwing this at it, throwing that at it, throwing that. My wife comes walking down the hall. She gets to the door to my office and she goes, oh, I ain't going in there. She went back to Grandmaster David and she says, I don't know what he's doing. He comes walking down and he walks up to the door and he looks in and he says, what the hell are you doing? Because the whole room was going, literally the energy was so full, because we still didn't have a lot of the buffers that we have now. So it was raw energy that was being there. But I was sitting in the middle of it. I was like cooking in it, and it was not bothering me. But anybody that came close, it was like, parking yourself under a microwave tower.
Can I say something real quick?
Of course.
So, one of the reasons that I love SRC is because it is so safe. It's very powerful. We can use it for many things, but it's also very safe. And also, it's also one of the reasons that I love Shen technique, because it doesn't have the filters on it. If you are doing Shen technique for something here and now, then your energy is going to be the most powerful to affect that in the moment. When I teach energy evolution, I could have chosen just to show people how to use SRC as part of the classes, but that's never the right answer, right? You have this power and this ability, and so you use Shen technique when you're in there in the moment. Never think, oh, I'm just gonna,
SRC.
this is really important, I'm just gonna use SRC on it.
Yeah,
It's like, no, you do this yourself, and then SRC is very, very good for supporting, like Maxine was saying, she had it running in the background while she was doing lots of other things, and that way it could continue. But it is, I like the way Grandmaster David said it, it's very polite.
Yes.
It is very buffered, it's very safe, and it is not as strong. It's strong over time, but in the moment it is not as strong as your own. So that's why I'm asking, can we also please do Shen technique on all of the Dorian works tonight? So thank you.
Yeah,
for letting us do that.
absolutely. I agree with that. Because what happens if you're up for a drive and something comes up and you need to do a Shen technique, but you don't have your computer with you?
Oh, on TV or on my phone, so I'm never without it.
No, you're a technical whiz. I know. You fixed my computer in 2 seconds. Fine, thank you.
You can do SRC in your phone.
You have it on your phone?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know you could do that.
Well, not with the app, but you can connect to your computer at home.
It is incredibly inconvenient, but can be used in an emergency.
Yeah.
Like
So-
a
Grandmaster David does it all the
VPN type of
time. He
thing?
has a remote access software,
Yeah.
so he
it's
accesses
TeamViewer.
his computer at home. Yeah. At some point, we will have an app for the phone.
No, that'd be great.
But
What about Max?
eventually, when
When?
the app that we have no idea. It costs a lot of money to develop for a whole new program and a whole new computer language to make it work on Macs.
What's Max?
Apple computers.
Oh, okay.
Right now, it's only with PCs, you know.
Oh, MAC, I was talking about MAX, I was like,
Mhm.
who's Max?
I'm Max.
Yeah, we're working on your Mac.
I got a lot of money.
So what else can anybody think of that we could do for Dorian? Let's do a couple more Shen
Cool.
techniques,
Cool the water down so it's not feeding its energy.
okay?
Bring the water down 5 degrees, I mean, I
Not
don't
by
know.
melting the poles.
Well, we're still on Dorian.
Right, okay.
Yeah, still on Dorian, so let's get some input from different people, so we'll do this one. This is the water of the Atlantic cooling down to stop affecting Dorian's growth.
Oh, great. The water is cooling down.
So what else can anybody think of?
Isn't it lower the decibels, isn't that what Decker, am I,
Yes.
is that what
Decibel
I'm-
is sound,
Yes.
I'm not
Can
familiar with
destroy
this.
the eye.
Well,
If you
in the
low-
middle of the
if you
high,
low-
it's like high decibels, and that needs to come down.
Well,
No?
Somebody familiarize me with this?
barometric pressure goes down when it gets worse, so you
Yeah.
want the millibars to go up.
Millibars, that's it,
Millibars.
okay.
You
so-
want them to rise, you don't want them to go
Rise,
down.
okay.
The more it goes down, the
So
stronger.
can we say equalize the pressure?
Balance, equalize, yeah, it's
Balance,
equalize,
yeah.
we do.
Like,
This is the pressure being equalized so it does not affect Hurricane Dorian in an adverse way.
Can we just do diffuse Dorian?
Hmm?
Can we do diffuse Dorian?
Yeah.
This is Hurricane Dorian being completely and safely diffused.
Yeah, I think it likes that
I like
one.
that one.
I think that's a simple-
In fact, could we please do that again? I mean,
Yeah.
we need to do it again.
And when you get to this point, put them up
Oh, I didn't do that.
and then squeeze.
The boy part goes in the girl part. I know it's
The
funny
bunny
that
goes in the hole.
every single person knows it and understands it and remembers it that way.
Okay,
And
She is a doctor,
Yeah.
that's okay.
now I can't get that image out of my head.
I'm also a mechanic's daughter. That's a part. I mean, that's how we refers to
It's like
part.
a socket and a plug-in.
Just saying.
Yes, yeah, you were trying to address one.
And I'm
We
just
knew
always,
about
I'm
mechanics.
just always walking in.
I should like
Alright, so what were we doing?
diffusing Dorian.
Oh, yes, we're
It's
diffusing, yeah.
safely diffused.
This is Hurricane Dorian completely and safely diffused. This is Hurricane Dorian effectively and safely diffused automatically and in all ways.
That Shin technique did itself. A magic wand waves itself. That Shin technique waves
Mhm.
itself. Did itself. So that was a really good one. Thank you.
Who's the dowser that
Raymond Grace.
Raymond Grace does this?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember we were,
Is he still coming? November?
I don't think so. I think he's actually kind of cut back on a few
Oh.
things. He's got some issues going on, but,
No, it didn't have to do with that. I haven't gotten the information from Grandmaster. He won't connect me with them.
oh,
Well, anyway, sorry to.
but I think there's something going on as well. I'm not sure if it's health-wise or something. Dinner,
Nice chime.
calling in the hands from the ranch, come on in, dinner. Anybody else have any other ideas about Dorian, something we can do?
Well, let's do it on the computer, using the computer.
Alright, so we went to the tool tabs, we open up the Shen tool, and what I'm going to put in here is, let's see, I can pick and choose. And here's a good one. Before we do something with the Shen technique, it would look like a completely hopeless situation, wouldn't it?
Yes, that's what we need.
So it would change a completely hopeless situation. And then I would just take it to 24 hours and hit start.
Just as a side note, there's one other one in there that's, what is it? It's about changing all destructive behavior or something like that. What is it? Could you pull the drop down? I just mentioned it because it was a,
I have to open up another.
okay.
Do that.
I had a client who was always late, and she was very sweet, and I knew that she would not. I knew that she would hear the "please don't be late" as a criticism, and it would be very hard on her. And so every single time she was late for just time after time after time. And so I just went into Shen tool. I just went into that tool and did what he's about to show you. She was never late again. We never had a conversation.
Really?
Yeah. It was fantastic. I was like,
And that's one of the things to do
what is it? It was
when you have some
It's change all
time.
negative behavior and.
Look at your
it
drop-down menus
works.
and see the choices you have, like change negative belief structure and patterns,
Completely changed.
change negative attitude, change holding,
Completely.
there was
change out of control behavior.
Yes,
change
that
out
was
of
it.
control behavior. Yeah, that is a sneaky powerful one.
It's sneaky
And that
powerful.
is a good one to use on Dorian
Yes.
Oh, yes.
because the hurricane is out of control.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Well, he's
So
gonna
change out of control behavior.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna revisit what you just did. You opened up a new P4.
Yes, because I already had the Shen tool
No,
going.
no, no, I realize that on the
Yeah.
previous one that we had with Darian dissipate.
And all they did was put my name in because you couldn't
You put
open
your
anything.
name in.
It didn't
Okay.
matter, you could put anybody's name in or
Okay.
anything in there, you just had to put something in order,
In that first
to access,
box, in
yeah.
order to name.
you had to
get
put
the
something in the
tools.
name box.
Okay, terrific.
Otherwise you couldn't get to the tool tabs to open up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, I have done multiples. I've picked 3 or 4 different drop-down menu items.
Yeah,
and
you
then
have to
put
do
24
that
hours.
before
Is that
you
okay?
activate the P4.
No, 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 I realize that, but is it okay to do multiples in one setting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Grandmaster David's favorite saying on that early on when we were putting things together and people would ask, well, can I do this? Well, can I do that? Well, will it, this? And his whole thing was, don't limit God.
Okay.
How big is God's brain? Bigger than our understanding. So don't limit him because this is a gift from God, the software to start with. In fact, when I have a Christian who talks to me and they're a little bit, like, well, that stuff's weird and that's like new agey stuff and all that kind of stuff, and I just go, no, it's a gift from God.
Mm-hmm.
It's God blessed.
Mm-hmm.
He gave it to us, and it's a tool He told us to use,
Mhm.
and so that's why we're using it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's again, don't limit. Put whatever you want in there and see what happens.
What about the EMF fields and
The what?
5G
EMF.
and the EMF fields and things that are going on with the radiation? What can we do on that?
Well, that usually what I do for those is I use a combination of the field generator and the supercharger to set up a shield around yourself to protect you.
Oh, interesting. So you can protect yourself against EMFs
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
this program.
It's all energy.
Huh? Yeah.
So you
it
set up a
is.
shield. Remember the old advertisements, Colgate, Palmolive, shield of protection?
Which would look like what?
What?
Well, how would we do
Field
it?
yeah, field generator, where you put it.
Okay, well, that's in the professional, so you'd have to have the
Oh,
professional toolbox to do that. But we do have a charger in P4. And that's right here, SRC4U charger.
okay.
And so
Does
here,
it come with a person?
what's that?
Basically,
I had one of the first speaking computers in the United States, and it came with a person. he came in every other day.
I have to say that the technical support in this program is fantastic.
Is it okay?
Kevin is the like the technical. So that, everybody in here, anybody who's talked to Kevin, he's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yep.
The best tech guy. And then Ray is also very available. He does classes here every month, but also very available for individual consult. For like, okay, I want to do this thing. What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
So he's excellent for that.
Good.
Yeah.
I just doused Dorian down.
How did you do it?
With the dowsing tool.
Yeah.
Using a pendulum?
Nope.
Mm.
He's gonna show you. He's gonna show you.
There's a dowsing tool, the second from the right.
You just did down?
I just put it. I put Dorian, and then I put it in as a negative thing.
Okay.
I wonder what came up first.
Oh.
Oof.
I never used Shen potential, this is good.
Yeah.
Does it
So
come
what
with
did you-
does it come with a book of
So
you got the same thing
instructions?
too?
You have a choice, when you do the dowsing tool, you have a choice of having it as a good thing or as a negative thing.
So
So,
is
in the
the, so
energy
the
here-
thing that you're commenting on is a good thing and you wanna amplify it, or it's a bad
It's just a
thing?
different way of
Where I'm
looking
right
at it.
now.
Okay,
That's all it is a different way of looking at it. If I'm looking at it as a good thing, that means I have a number here that I want this number to match. And it's gonna be higher usually than this number, so then we balance it till it matches. If it's a negative thing, then I want the thing to be lower. Like
Right,
in this case, the now number is 84. I want it to be at a 2.
gotcha.
So
You talking
as a
about
negative,
Dorian?
yeah. Yes,
I'm just reporting something. I got exactly the same number.
interesting.
What number did you get?
84.
84 over 2.
So if I
You
put
mean on your
my, if
program?
I put my job, and right now my job is like a really awesome thing, so I would say it's a positive thing.
Right.
Yeah, I'll do that here in a second, but I wanna clear this. So what's happening right now is it's doing a session right off here before we even add it to the P4. So it's now balancing that energy out. It's getting rid of layers of negative energy that was an 84, and it's bringing it down to the minimum number it's supposed to be, which is a 2.
Okay.
So that's a mini session in and of itself, right there.
Can you show, since tonight is your amazing sale night,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I know this is P4 stuff we're going over, but could you please show us all of the cool stuff on the professional version?
Yep.
Because it sure makes it, you can do a lot of cool stuff. Like maybe start with the Pro Tools selector.
Yeah, I'll do that. So, but real quick, I wanna do this here. The negative thing, I just did it, I cleared it, and I moved it over to this box. When I hit add list to options box, it now goes into the P4 and adds into the option box there. So
right.
now it'll work on that in addition to that little mini session that I just gave it. Okay, so the professional toolbox. Yeah, this is the one that I play in probably most of the time. And the beauty of this is that you look at these choices, my gosh, we got issue solver, we got field generator, acupuncture panel, we got the timeline, so what am I gonna do? Well, the more you play with it, the more you'll start understanding what each one of these things does, and then you'll start making some decisions. But if you just don't know, and you wanna do the best you can for your person you're running, then right down here, number 20 tool is called a Pro Tool Selector.
So,
And you hit that,
so let's run the experiment and run Dorian on there. Let's see.
well, that's what I'm gonna do.
See what Dorian needs
So Dorian,
to go away. To go away.
I did disperse Dorian. What,
Yeah,
with your
yeah.
experience, what is your sense of what the best, what is the best thing to put there? Dorian or disperse?
not just Dorian, because we know what we're talking about.
And it looks
Okay.
like what you're thinking about anyway, right?
Yeah, at this particular point, put something down. Remember what you want it to be and intend it to be. And,
Nothing, we want it to be nothing.
yeah, but I mean, you know what it is that you're talking about. You
Yeah.
want to work on Dorian.
Yeah.
So you don't have to put Hurricane Dorian, you
Right.
don't have to put Dorian that's in the Caribbean or Atlantic or whatever, we don't have to do that. We just do Dorian because that's our intent, we want it to affect Dorian. And, so I put that in there. You notice the next two lines, they say optional, so I'm just gonna leave them alone, they're optional. I'm gonna do start operator, client check. And now it's gonna look at the energy and it's gonna tell me which of these other 19 Pro Tools would be good to run on Dorian. It's taking the decision away from me and doing it on a strictly energetic thing, where we don't have artificial intelligence, we have intuitive discernment. That's what the operates are thinking. The software will intuit what it needs,